Okay, Ms. Only, are you the one that's there for this meeting?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, well, my
Yeah.
county computer shows it's 4 o'clock, so let's call the meeting to order, please.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, and go ahead and start with the roll call.
Mr. Malinowski,
Here.
Ms. Newton. Just trying to get. And Ms. Kennedy.
See Ms. Newton there, but she's muted, but so I guess she's here.
She was having problems connecting.
Well, then I guess we better make sure she is here because we don't have a quorum if she's, oh, there she is. Okay. You're muted.
I still am sorting out my audio issue, but I'm here.
Okay. Got you.
All right. And we also have, I see, Councilwoman Terratio, Chairman Livingston, Ms. Ashley Powell, our Assistant County Administrator, and a handful of other folks there. All right. The first point of business is approval of the minutes on page 4 of our agenda.
Move to approve.
Okay, I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Only, if you'll take the vote, please.
Mr. Malinowski,
Yes.
Ms. Newton,
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy. Passed.
Okay, adoption of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, then if you'll take the vote, please, Ms. Only.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes, I'm trying to sort out my audio problem.
okay.
You gave a
Kennedy.
thumbs up. Okay, that passes, and we'll move on to number 4 with our interviews. We have the Lexington Richland Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council with 2 interviews to be conducted today. And then the council tonight will hopefully make a decision as to who we will appoint. We have 1 vacancy and 4 applicants. I see both of our applicants are here, Ms. Drayton and Mr. Ward. We'll take them in order. Ms. Drayton will go first, but how do you want to do this, Ms. Only? Because we don't have the outside individuals, we don't have the public present during the interviews, never have. Somewhat of a personnel matter. So how do we sort this out so that we only have Ms. Drayton with all council members and other people that are allowed to be here from the county?
I've got a breakout room set up, so I can pull you over. Just
Okay,
one-
so we don't have to do anything. We'll just stay here and you'll do it.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do that, please.
Okay.
I guess I did, right?
Almost finished.
Okay, looks like we all made it. Okay, we are now back from the interviews. And the next item on our agenda, number 5, notification of appointments. I can entertain
Chair.
a motion. Yes, Ms. Newton?
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Buddy Wilson to the Loretta Board.
I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Only, if you'll call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Newton, Kennedy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to advise the full council that the committee recommends Mr. Buddy Wilson for appointment to the board. Now we're up to item number 6. Items for discussion / action. 6A. I move that council work with staff to conduct a comprehensive review of council rules and recommend changes to streamline the rules to improve the functioning of council business. This is something that we have been going on for a while now. We're making some progress. Miss Only or Miss Roberts, do you have where we finished the last time? I think, at least my notes indicate that we were around 1.6 for the quorum.
I believe that's correct, Mr. Malinowski.
Okay. And I think I had the question or I do have the question, I'll say, on 1.6 where it says a quorum of, that's what it is. The very first, on the second paragraph where the line starts, a quorum of that needs to be omitted because it starts again right after the strike through where it says a quorum of a committee, subcommittee, or advisory committee. And my question is advisory committee interchangeable with ad hoc committee?
Yeah, this is Brad. Here's the thing on that. There's a case that came out a few years ago from the Supreme Court called the Quality Towing case, which is out of the beach somewhere. Basically said it doesn't matter what you call it. You want to call it committee, subcommittee, advisory committee, committee formerly known as whatever the symbol Prince used. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever you call the thing, you've got to have quorum. So you can't, ad hoc doesn't matter.
Okay. That answers that. So it doesn't really make any difference what word is being used. We just need a quorum for everything.
That's correct.
Anything else? 1.7 agenda. This is something that we may possibly change depending on whether or not we change the Horizon meeting and all that goes along with it. So that's something we're waiting. That actually is listed as number C, 6C in here about consider moving the Horizon meeting. So until that is considered and or changed, I believe that there's no real change for that. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes. To your point, I would hope that we could agree that we're going to revisit this item when we address the moving of the Horizon meeting.
Yes, and I tell you what, let me put down C 1.7 at that place, C 1.7 rule.
Or would it be appropriate, since we're talking about our rules, I don't want to be out of order, but since we are quite frankly considering changing this, would it be appropriate to discuss now or does it have to wait?
I think we can discuss it now because we're at a point here where we're talking about the agenda and how it's compiled. And if we think that it's something that, I mean, it's already been broached whether or not we should consider changing it. And we were kind of leaving that up to getting information from the clerk's office and administration as to how that would either work in a positive, negative, or negative way here. So I'm willing to listen and be open to what anyone has to say on this. I know we were given some information previously on this. I don't have that in front of me, but maybe somebody wants to give us a summary of the good, the bad, or indifferent on this matter. Ms. Only or Ms. Roberts, would you have any input, or Mr. Brown or Ms. Powell?
Mr. Chair, I do understand that there was some information that was presented and that Clerk to Council's office, along with Ms. Myers, who I believe is on this call, Shia Myers, was working on some information, and I believe that they can speak to that. So I would ask them, Ms. Myers, if you can pull up your related information, if you have that available, to try to give them a brief synopsis of the interactions between the dates and times that the information that they request would need to be submitted, and how that would fall with the movement of Horizon.
And I'd like to add that I realized there was some potential concern about the actual first part of, if we were to change the dates and times, that it would cause a rush, should I say, of having to get some minutes done and an agenda done a lot sooner than what would normally take place. But any change on this could be accommodated by doing it on a week when the council does not meet the next week. So it would eliminate that pressure from anyone doing it. For example, we meet the first, third, and fourth Tuesdays. Of course, the fourth Tuesday is the zoning public hearing, so the minutes and all are not needed for then. So you'd have the week break in there. If this were changed, there's meeting dates that come up like Labor Day where it's pushed back. It's a different date. So there is time in the council schedule to figure out when this could take place, to eliminate a lot of the haste and rush that somebody would have to do. Go ahead. Now, is that you, Ms. Roberts?
Hi, this is Ashi. I'm actually using Ms. Roberts' computer because I have a microphone on my computer. So good afternoon. To your point, Mr. Malinowski, it's not so much the rush, but by what you all have set in your rules is when things are due to administration. So even if you were to set the time based upon on weeks that council didn't meet, we would still be in violation of the rules that you guys already have set forth, because things have to be turned in 2 weeks prior to the meeting day, according to your rules, to administration for proper vetting and review prior to them being placed in your agenda. So even if we do it on off weeks, we still have that particular rule to contend with to change when documents are vetted and reviewed.
Mr.
It would only affect one meeting. If somebody puts in a few motions, and there's the normal routine channels to have to go through, it may push it back from one committee meeting in June to the committee meeting in July.
Yes, that would be one of the changes, but I believe, because I'm not at my computer, but I believe in the briefing document that we submitted relative to this matter, essentially you guys would have 8 months out the year where motions would be pushed back to the following month. Right now, there are only 6 months in the year where motions are sometimes pushed back due to holidays. So if we change the Horizon meeting day and do not address the other rule in terms of when things are due to administration, that further pushes back when things are considered by committee. And that goes from 6 to 8 months.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Newton.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Myers, I'm looking at the briefing document, and I guess what I would like to look at is what a possible solution is, because the ultimate objective is that we get a lot of materials and we want to do our due diligence for the public and are trying to get it further in advance of our meeting. And so, sorry. So my question is, in the briefing document on page 106, it says, it is the 4 paragraphs from the bottom. It says to maintain the 7-day workday timeline for staff review and vetting of all written materials, Rule 4.4 should also be modified. And then it has the dates for backup materials. My question is, if we accepted that recommendation for our rules, because there's a willingness to change our rules, would that address your concerns about motions being pushed back?
It does address it from the standpoint of it keeps staff time the same for us to be able to review items fully, to have them vetted by all the involved departments. So yes, it does address it in that manner. However, if council is hesitant because of the delay, then no, it would not address it.
Is there a solution that you would propose that would allow us to meet the objective of getting our materials early without an undue delay for motions? And one more question, I'm sorry. Is most of that problem based on the minutes? If the minutes could be accommodated in a different way, would that fix the problem?
No, it's not just the minutes. It's essentially staff review time, because ultimately staff has about 7 working days. So even without changing the other rule to include those working days, you reduce staff review time by 2 working days at a minimum. So currently they're on top of the other work that departments have to do, reviewing documents by finance, budget, and legal at a minimum. Legal review sometimes takes a little bit extended. There's often back and forth between finance and budget to locate funds for particular projects. Taking away those 2 days means that items aren't properly vetted that come before the body.
Unless they're pushed back that extra month, correct?
Right, unless they're pushed by that extra month. And depending upon the timeliness of whatever the motion may be, that may be unideal.
So, Mr. Malinowski, may I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Again, and I'm just trying to think, the ultimate objective is there a way that we can get the material sooner? So this motion addresses the Horizon meeting. Could we have the Horizon meeting sooner and get the packet quicker? So there are some challenges with that. Is there any opportunity, and this question is addressed towards anyone, to reduce the time on the back end? So are there certain steps that we might be able to consider where the Horizon meeting was still at the same day that it is, but then we still got the agendas on Thursday instead of Friday?
That would be a question best answered by Ms. Only or Ms. Roberts. I can only speak to the staff's portion in terms of submitting documents to the clerk by the deadline set forth. If their deadline changes accordingly, of course, staff will adjust to that deadline as well. But I can't speak to if moving the Horizon, if they'll be able to get to the agenda out the same day as Horizon without any further modification.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Myers. So Ms. Only or Ms. Roberts, if anything could happen after the Horizon meeting that could compress the time that it takes us to get the agendas by 1 day?
Having the agendas on our Horizon meeting on Wednesday won't change anything. It's mostly to go over what's already on the agenda. As you and I have already discussed, the only issue is getting the minutes. This is a perfect example. We're having a meeting today. In order for me to do the minutes, they would have to be done by tomorrow afternoon at 5. So the minutes are still going to be an issue with getting them included in the next agenda packet. The only other option would be to do it the same way that we did when I did budget minutes and have them sit under separate cover.
Okay. So, Mr. Malinowski, thank you. I don't want to belabor this point here, but I would just suggest that just in terms of looking at some law firms and other organizations that I've seen, if minutes are the barrier to this, I think that there might be an opportunity for us to have a conversation about what our expectations are about minutes. And there are some possible assistance and technological solutions that could reduce the time, because I mean, right now, according to the briefing document, almost an entire business day is spent compiling the minutes. And I know for a fact that using some different solutions in other industries that we could reduce that, but that's a conversation.
And my take on the minutes is that if you were to look, I believe, into the Roberts rules where it addresses the minutes, it's a matter of the minutes are supposed to be a brief synopsis of what took place. Our minutes go
Right.
into much greater detail, of which I don't really think we need. If there's a question on something in the minutes because some detail has been omitted, then that can come forward for an answer to be given. But I think that we can eliminate a lot of the time put on our clerk's office doing minutes by going back to the way I know they used to be, which was just that, a brief synopsis of what took place, not all that constant detail where sometimes
Sure.
we've got 30 and 40 pages worth of minutes. So maybe we need
Sure.
to look at that along with what you're saying.
I would love that suggestion. And to your point, Mr. Malinowski, as you know, you're completely correct about what Robert's rule says about the minutes. They're really not exhaustive. But I guess I would just add, when we're considering it, that it's not necessarily either or. It can be and, that our minutes can be our minutes, which are streamlined per Roberts. But I've talked to some people who have mentioned in the past, before my time, there were some historical questions that came up. So if we still want to have that level of detail, that could be a companion document, or it could be a transcript document that was separate and in our archive to be referred to, but the minutes could just be the minutes. And I would love to have us embrace that. Would that address your concerns, Miss Only, if the minutes were really, this was the motion and this is how they voted?
Yes, ma'am.
Because when you say, Ms. Newton, about a companion document somewhere archived, we already kind of have that because everything's on tape. So it's a matter of somebody could go back and review that if they wanted to get the more detailed information.
Mr. Malinowski.
Sure.
Yeah.
Really required to keep the audio for 3 years, though. It's
Keep
not.
the audio for 3 years.
It only stays on file for 3 years.
Well, I think if somebody hasn't brought up the question for 3 years and we've had minutes approved, then we probably don't need it.
Like I said, I mean, I really don't know that it has to be in either or. I mean, because I have asked in the past, why are minutes so extensive? And the answer that I was given is that a lot of questions came up. But quite frankly, law firms use this, all the time. There are, very inexpensive and fast ways that if you want a transcription, we could have a transcription, archive it, and then we have the minutes, and then they can be brought together at another time, even if it's only like a transition for people that might be reticent to give up the verbatim-ish nature of our minutes.
Right. And Ms. Newton, maybe you could, if you want to take the time to do this, come up with a couple of those suggestions, and possibly
Sure.
the clerk's office or Ms. Myers in the administration section have some ideas as to how we could go about this, since the minutes at this point seems to be kind of part of the problem in getting an agenda earlier. I say part of the problem because Ms. Myers has brought out another part there with pushing meeting information back also, which maybe we can look at that somehow. So let's look at that, and everybody stay in the discussion and try to figure out maybe where we can go with a recommendation to include, as you said, Ms. Newton, if we're going to get some, and I guess you're talking about some outside firm that would come in, grab the audio and type the minutes. Is that correct?
It could be a firm. It could be provided. There's the confidentiality. I use a transcription service where I literally upload my audio, and in 15 minutes I get a record back. Obviously, there's someone that still needs to go back and review it because words have alternate spellings, but it doesn't take 6 hours.
No, and we need to, of course, get some type of cost in there too.
Correct. I can do that.
Okay, that would be good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that the Planning Commission does use the service currently for this purpose, and we would be happy to review their contract and give you some idea of what that might
That
be.
would be great. Maybe if we've got something which I wasn't aware of that's in service, as Ms. Powell just points out, maybe we can tag along into that and even get a lesser price since we've got a contract with them and see what it states and what we can possibly get. Thank you, Ms. Powell. For
Mr. Malinowski.
Yes.
I think that there is an economic development meeting that's supposed to start right now. Is that
There is,
correct?
and chime just went off, and I was going to say we really need to end this for anyone that wants to go to that, or just wants to not be in a meeting until the 6 o'clock one. So with that, we'll continue from this section here, which is 1.7 the next time, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second it. Ms. Only?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.